Hello, everyone. I'm Captain Foley. Welcome back to Trekyards.
And I am Colonel Corkins. Today, an interesting one, Stuart. Another theory, one that has been knocking around a bit for a while, but when a line, a comment, a thing sticks out that might prove something in the universe, in the show, in the canon, you got to talk about it.
And today, we're going to be talking about the fact that Michael Burnham was meant to die. She initially died that night she ran away.
Yeah. So the idea being that she ran away from home. We knew that already. Spock saw an angel. We knew that already. And she got saved. And then we see Discovery happen. And that we thought was the end of the story. But, every line is very specific. And you can imagine that every line said by the iconic character of Spock is going to be carefully checked by multiple people. You know what I mean? It's. And so when we see this, we actually see the vision that the Red Angels give, or the Red Angel gives to Spock, and it's actually of this creature in the Forge, which I love them referencing the Vulcan Forge, actually makes a trip, and we hear actually kills Michael Burnham. That is what happened. And then Spock says, "The angel saved you, changed your fate."
Yes, change your fate, yeah.
That's very specific. Because that isn't just was always going to save you. That very, very much implies actually seeing the footage of her dying actually implies that that was the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And we doubled because they mentioned timeline lots of times in this episode. Spock also says, in the future of this timeline, very specifically this timeline, these things happen and basically we lose everything. Which implies, again, timelines are shifty and this is not the way we think it's going to go. And so I think that the angel saved you, changed your fate. Any time stuff changes things. But I think this is pretty much concrete that the universe happened. This creature went back and changed the past to allow Michael Burnham to live. That is a timeline we are now in. And there's an alternate timeline to the other ones we've seen previously. That single thing doesn't necessarily explain all the visual changes, but this is the Michael Burnham was saved by a future incident timeline. Whereas the other timelines, while all still prime, all still the normal line of what happened, in those ones, in the TOS and the pre-TOS, she died. That was her fate. In this timeline, based on Red Angel now interfering, the fate has now changed. I mean, did you pick up on this? Did you think the same thing? Am I going too into it? What do you think? Because I'm pretty convinced that is them telling us something.
Yeah, no, I noticed that as well, and I thought the same thing. It's like, she was initially supposed to die. That could explain a few things.
Mm-hmm.
So I did notice it. I don't have an explanation for it, sadly. But anytime you make a decision...
Yes.
You create an alternate timeline. As we see in parallels, there are multiple timelines, realities, whatever you want to call them.
Yep.
Each decision you make can go one of a couple ways, and in one reality, you make every one of those decisions at some point. So,
well, in Tapestry, we see multiple as well being lived out.
Yeah,
in real time.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
Because I always find it funny when Star Trek fans say, "Oh, there's 3 realities. There's Prime, Mirror." It's no parallels. Watch it. It's everything. This is a greater universe. It's just we are at home at the original, the first one. And also that changed through the Third World War. That's why we say Star Trek is not a representation of now, because the 1990s. The time ship wasn't taken by that tech genius and didn't invent the processor 10 years early, and those things didn't happen in our timeline in Earth 1 now. That happened in the Trek timeline, although altered Trek timelines as you go. So that's just another timeline. I'm pretty happy with that, and I think, would Spock mention to anyone ever that he had a stepsister for about 6 months when he was a kid and then she died? Would you ever bring that up ever for any reason?
Maybe to a therapist, but no. Other than that, not really.
Which would explain why she was never mentioned ever, or because she died. Yeah, she died, and same as Cyborg not being mentioned for big dramatic reasons. It did. It works just fine.
Yeah. But then, see, the problem is if she was supposed to die and she didn't die because of the Red Angel, there's got to be a purpose for that. Like,
yes.
As we talked about, we have another discussion where we talk about Red Angel theory.
Mm-hmm.
If it is in fact Discovery that has become the Red Angel, the AI Discovery from Calypso from the future, perhaps Discovery gets destroyed unless Michael Burnham is there to save the day, as she always does. So this was a necessary step in the Discovery's history to make sure that it made it to where it needed to be. It's why was Michael spared? It's going to be a question that needs to be addressed at some point, and I hope they do it well.
I found it interesting that the reason for Michael finding Spock was actually Spock drawing her in, not because he loved her, not because he respects her, not because he wanted her. It's because she remembers his past in a linear fashion, which allows the Telosian to reconstruct his past in a linear way and reground him, at least some. It could be Sarek, it could be Amanda, but reasons, I'm sure there's, it probably hurt Sarek too much, and maybe didn't want to risk his mum, maybe it hurt his mum, la la la. So wouldn't it be interesting then if Burnham feels overly important in this universe? She's always at the front and center. She's always doing things. If she started a Klingon war, that all these things, she seems too important for the way she is, and too good. Mm-hmm. But it sort of makes sense if she's cosmically chosen. She was spared this other reality. She was put into this position. She is a catalyst, for a reality that allows the stopping of this thing. Then she is the center of it because she was that simple turn. She, creating this new tether for Spock to bring him back in a different way, to allow him to be sane, and because if your planet is right, Spock is at this timeline. He's the only entity in the universe that can deal with this. But if I give him the knowledge he needs, his brain will fry. Shit. Now I need to give him the way to come back. Okay, I'll go back and his sister. That makes sense. I'll save the sister. That'll give him this mental refrain, and then create these instants to get him to A to B to C to D, which is what we see Discovery being. It's been leapfrogged across the universe in a very controlled way to get to this point of them on Talos together. Section 31 didn't catch them, and now he can help them stop the future. So there is some. It does kind of bring it all together. And, we are fine with this being an alternate universe. We've said that since day one. And even without explaining the weird tech differences, it just being an alternate timeline is enough. Mm-hmm. It's just the post-Michael Burnham universe. And we are fine. We've said this in God knows how many episodes, with Enterprise being a post-change universe. Not as drastically as it could be, though, because we do see TNG playing Enterprise, which means Enterprise happened in that TNG, or at least the timeline reframed itself around it all connecting just fine. Yeah. So at least they're close enough. There's an episode of SG-1 where they change time, and the only visible change is that there are no fish one day, there's now fish the other day, and it's a little payoff, but it's just like, what do we change? Nothing of importance. Fish. So it's like, if the Enterprise timeline, all the events still happened pretty much as we saw them, so that's fine. So I think, is it in their best interest to now give us the retcon of it's a separate universe? Or is that now giving up? Because it can still be a prime alternate. Is that now Kurtzman's decide to fix? Because it also gives them freedom in the future to change things, to do what they want. I think they'd want that freedom. And people haven't bought into it being prime either. They've got all this backlash, so if they just now had a fun reveal, just took them 2 years...
Well, that being said, a lot of people are deeply entrenched that this is prime because the IP holders say so. Just, not an in-universe reason, just an in-reality reason. And sure, whatever. But yeah, being the Discoverse, having it being its own thing, as we said, we've said many times, we would be bravo, guys. You have done a great job of reimagining things and updating things and kind of, doing your own thing. And we have no issues with that. So yeah, it's interesting that she was originally supposed to die, and we see this death, so it's not like it didn't happen. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say.
Her dying was not a possible future. If the angel hadn't told Spock, she would have died.
Was a certainty, yeah.
So it was going to happen. It changed it. So it's not as if, la la la. It wasn't a predictive model. It was, in about an hour she's going to get killed. End of story. So there is no line of whatever. So unless the angels always happened, in which case it's just another narrative of, well, they always happen. That was a nice thing about Enterprise. They said this wasn't supposed to happen. Future people knew this was a new event. This was actually something time-related. This changed things. Although I think you could probably argue that the Cochrane stuff always happened. Like, I think you can they were always going to go back.
Yeah.
That's close enough. It's like, although that said, Sisko, he was never always going to be the character from the past.
Oh, Bell, yeah.
Or was he? Or did he see it? Because he saw a picture and it was him, or was he always going to be him? Because I guess why would you know? Why would you?
But he it wouldn't always be him because he was not a fan, but he studied history and he knew all about that Bell character. That's one of the reasons that he was able. Well, no, he said. It's good that you're here because you know all about this Bell character. You can take over now.
Yeah.
And so he would have studied it and seen pictures of him. Yeah. But then after he's replaced him, then his picture is in the from Little Green Men where they're looking through the history of Earth, and it's like all the humans look alike, but it's his picture there now. If he would have seen his own picture, he would have been like, So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Although that was changed because of an orb, wasn't it?
Yes, I believe so.
So that's a little bit different. That was a controlled time travel. Like, the Prophets saw the universe out of linear time, so they could, it's not the same exact thing as actually going back and changing time. So I could. It's like Q. If Q changed time, it could exist the first way first, and then in the second way the second time, because Q knows it all anyway. Rather than changing something and then everything gets erased because it's just whatever. So I think this is pretty controversial proof, and it's not as if we're reaching. This is in the episode.
Yeah,
we're literally just recounting. There's no stretch here. The only thing we're stretching is hoping that they then recognise this is the post Michael Burnham alive universe. Therefore, it's slightly different. And while it's fine to be 97% the same, the Klingon War would never have happened.
Don't you mean 75% the same?
There you go. Boom. Well, I'm trying to give him credit there. But yeah, exactly. But the Civil War, the Klingon War never happened because Michael Burnham never attacked. And then Tyler Vok was wasn't the first prototype because that was done because of killing T'Kuvma, and T'Kuvma was never a martyr, didn't cause a war. He just was seen as a zealot for his entire life because of never a ship that went there. Because I'm sure Giorgio has changed quite drastically from her influence with Thingy. Saru, didn't save the Kelpians because he was the second in command earlier. We got captain earlier. Couldn't just change the prime directive on a whim because of Kelpia, and that fixes that. So I think, I think that works just fine. And, I mean, hey, that's the thing, though. If they know also that all these other shows are happening, the Picard show, the Section 1 show, all these other shows, you can now put Discovery to bed in a gentle way of, we're retconning this into its own little fun universe. And now, new fans can go back and watch season 1 and be like, oh, cool. This is the Michael Burnham sub-universe.
Yeah.
Why
the
complain?
Burnham-verse.
Yeah, exactly. Why complain in the same way? It's just, it was never intended that way. But they could easily retcon it to be that way, and then once it ends at season 3, I think they'll be able to end it in a gentle way. It can have its own merits rather than be responsible for damaging the franchise. Because we can forgive if they can, forgive. Again, look at Beyond. We gave a lot of credit to the JJ-verse after Beyond. So there you go. That's my theory. I think we've proved it, and I hope this wasn't too clickbaity a title because it's all in the episode.
This is true.
Yeah. So hopefully we see back again, the Michael Burnham pre-universe, because of her the Clone War happened and millions died. So hopefully we see that universe again, the pre-Michael Burnham Survive universe.
Yes. So guys, as we always tend to say, put your comments down below. We love reading them. Love hearing your thoughts on these kind of things. And yeah, just let us know your theories, perhaps, on to what this means. So, as always, like the video, subscribe to the channel, click the notification icon, do all that cool stuff. Plus, there's lots of links down there, cool stuff like Eagle Moss and a whole bunch of cool things that you can click and go experience more than just this episode. It's like an alternate universe down there. Every link takes you to a different timeline or reality that you can check out. That's Trekyards related, but not quite Trekyards Prime. So go do that stuff as well.
Yes, and support on Patreon if you'd like. It's a monthly donation service or one-time donation at Trekyards.com, or buy a shirt at Teespring, or go to Eagle Moss and at checkout, buy whatever you want and use the code Trekyards to get money off. So many great ways to support us, this channel, and enjoy our lives every single week. And super chat if you can, and just be part of our awesome community. So until next time, our next video, I am Commander Goggins. Let's get filming the next one.
And I'm Captain Foley. And remember, there is no fate but what we make. Or the Red Angel fixes.
Yeah. Bye, guys.